here is a different approach when it comes to your problems. They might be small problems or they might be bigger problems. The thing that I have realized in life about problems is that they sometimes completely disappear when you just ignore them. Do you want to say hi? Do you want to say hi? Here is the kitty. Okay. So when you ignore the problem, it'll most likely disappear. Not always, not all of the time, but more often than not, this is what I have seen in my own life. So I invite you to try that out. Next time you have a small issue, maybe. Yeah, I admit it might be hard if you are just starting to take this approach when it comes to things that stress you out, things that you think should be solved. But I invite you to try it out with a small problem that you will come across and see for yourself how it goes if you simply ignore it, because it'll probably just leave your reality altogether because I don't know what it is, but this has happened to me just a lot of times, multiple times, and this is what the video is about. Just try to ignore your problems. Of course, there is nuance to that, right? Like, for example, if there is like a fire going on in your house, God forbid, you need to do something, right? I'm not talking about things that already manifested to a degree that you need physical action. Sometimes it's not as dire yet, and with taking your focus away from the subject, you can actually stop that manifestation of that particular problem to get bigger, to catch momentum. You can prevent that. One example that I can give is that I have got a new table and it's not like constructed, it came to me in pieces. As I was trying to assemble the furniture, I was having a hard time because one of the legs of the table was not assembling, it was not getting in there, and it was just very fussy and it was just very hard, and I was having a hard time doing it, and I was about to go mad. I was about to become like that McDonald's clown character yelling and screaming. If you know that meme, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so I was very fed up and angry, and suddenly I thought to myself, like, this can't go on like that. I can't solve anything when I am this frustrated. And you can think the same thing about any problem you come across, any issue. You must realize that when we are so caught up in that, and when we are so in the problem, trying to solve the problem, we actually introduce resistance to the problem, and the more you resist it, the more it kind of grows and the more of an issue it becomes. And there is all this emotion in it most of the time, and emotions amplify our manifestations. So if you want to stop the escalating of angering things or escalation of whatever you are going through, sometimes you need to completely stop, completely give up that project, go somewhere else, go to another room. You know, when like marriage counselors or psychologists, I mean people who know about these things, usually say, if you get angry during a conflict, just leave the room. Maybe tell your partner that you will continue the conversation when you are calm, but at that second, sometimes you need to leave, like physically change the room. And that's what I think you should do when it comes to your problems sometimes. Most of the time, you can solve it by just ignoring it. Let's go back to the table assembly problem that I have had. So I was having a hard time, right? Like I was very frustrated and the table just wasn't coming together. So I said, you know what? F it. Totally just, I'm not dealing with it right now. Like, F that table, you know? I was so angry. So I went to another room. I, again, completely just gave up the whole thing and left it just standing in the kitchen. And it was a mess. I didn't care about it at that point. So I was just hanging in my room, you know, hanging around. I was checking my phone, just doing stuff that made me feel good, enjoying my time. Totally, I forgot about the assembly thingy. I was calm now and I had forgotten about it. I thought it was the right time to go back and try to do it again. And you know what's surprising, what's weird is that my technique was exactly the same when I went back to try to do that again. When I continued to assemble it, my technique didn't change at all, but my energy had changed. It was shifted. So I was more relaxed. I was more confident with myself instead of being frustrated at a piece of wood, you know? I was just, okay, I mean, let's see where this goes. Let's see how I can fix that, you know? So I went back and tried to like put the leg to where it needs to go, and I was just screwing it and just waiting patiently for it to just click, you know. And it did, just like that. Like I was trying the exact same technique for like hours and it didn't budge. It was always coming off. It was always so unstable. Just when I gave up and calmed myself down, the problem just disappeared. It was just smooth as a butter, you know? Everything was going smoothly. It was just, well, yeah, it worked out. The exact same thing that I have been doing for hours worked out just because I changed rooms and just totally gave up, and because I was now peaceful and I was approaching to the same problem in a completely different emotion. I was just approaching the problem with a completely different energy, you know, and it worked out. So this is just one concrete example that I can give to you. But there have been many times that I have had the exact same thing. Enough times that I remembered to actually give up and change rooms when the table issue happened. At that point, I knew from my life experience that yes, sometimes you leave the problem alone and just do something else while you forget about it, kinda, and the issue will disappear. Or when you go back to try to solve that again, it'll be easy, it'll be fixed. I don't know why that happens, but this happens. So that's one advice or food for thought that I can give you, is to sometimes just leave the problem alone, go do something else, calm yourself down, and don't even try to calm yourself down by force, just let it go. You can come back to it later, but you don't need to go all in on the problem. This sometimes works with medical problems. I mean, go to the doctor if you need to go to the doctor. But when we have a small physical issue and we always rush to go to the hospital and do all kinds of tests, and sometimes it's just the issue gets bigger. Maybe it was something transient, but because you went to the hospital, there are now all these things that you didn't know about that are now somehow these big issues about your health. And as I said, I mean, if you need to go to the hospital, you need to go to the hospital. But yeah, sometimes left alone, some things actually just leave your reality because you didn't give more energy to those situations. So sometimes, most of the times, you need to let go and don't give energy to the issues, because the more you focus on a subject, the more energy you put into it, and the more it will grow and manifest. When you put enough energy into it, it's sometimes hard to really turn it back, once it's reached a point. So yeah, next time you come across a small issue, think about this video and just try ignoring it. I mean, if it's not a life-threatening issue, right? Just ignore it. You don't know how to solve it, let it go. Maybe it'll solve it, get resolved on its own. And if you have a similar thing in your life that happened to you, that you ignored and the issue was completely solved on its own or with little efforts, then write it down in the comments, and I hope you get some benefit from this video. I hope to see you in my next one.